Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the introduction. That was fantastic. I bet you all did not know that I also do videos and editing on the side. So that's my backup plan with COVID-19. Okay, just so you know that. And Eric is a guitarist, so that was his music in the background, along with one of his guitar buddies. So thank you. We worked together to put that one together. So welcome, and thanks for joining us here tonight. We are here to really get to the bottom of what is a healthier and happier life and how can we achieve that here in the new year. So with that, we want to take some trips to see what people around the world are doing. Eric, hi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm ready to go to Sardinia. I am so ready to travel with all our fellow dragons. I got my boarding pass, I'm packed. I'm ready to go. Nairi, are we ready for pre-boarding?
We are ready for pre-boarding. So right now, I just want you all to just like sit back and imagine we're taking a luxury trip to Sardinia. So where would we start that trip? But of course, the lounge. So we're in the lounge, we're ready to take off, and we are getting our first toast, ready to toast to the evening. So we want to celebrate our virtual trip to the Blue Zones. Eric, you want to join in for the toast?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, of course they make wine in Sardinia. And so please join us for a glass of wine. I'm bringing a Terra Bianca Torbato from Alghero. It's a 2016. It's from a beautiful enchanted corner of Sardinia. There's two men who are from Piedmont, as you know, is a great Italian area where they make Valero and Nebbiolo, and it's a great wine. So cheers to everyone. How about you lead us with a toast, Neri, into 2021. Okay. And go to Sardinia.
Cheers to everyone. Here's to a healthy and happy 2021 and to longevity. Cheers.
That's such good. I mean, listen, I can't believe what we're doing. I feel I'm in Sardinia already. All the citrus and tree fruits. You know, Nairi, this with wine would go really well with your minestrone soup.
Absolutely. We'll hit on that a little bit later.
Okay, I also want to thank our friends at wine.com. You know, we've made a special partnership with them. So if you go online, they have a great search function and you can put in anything really, but I put in Sardinia and they'll show you all the wines that they have from Sardinia. And I sort of got a case from them. Of course, it varies on state and where they can ship to. But it's one way of exploring Sardinia by drinking its wine. You know, actually you're drinking Sardinian soil as you drink Sardinian wine. There is a discount for Drexel alumni and people on the show. It's a Drexel 10, all caps. It's good till March 31st. So use our friends at wine.com and get to know and take a virtual travel in an evening with a glass of wine. So cheers, Nairi.
Cheers. Maybe in Italian they say mangia. There might be something better, but mangia, cheers. Let's do this.
So we're through pre-boarding. So we're getting in on the trip. So Nairi, tell us, what is a Blue Zone? I mean, it sounds fantastic. You know, let's go to a Blue Zone. What is it?
Okay, so the Blue Zones are these geographical locations around the world where researchers have found that people live the longest and they are also the healthiest. So they're not just living long, but they're living healthy, quality lives. Sardinia was one of the first places that was identified as this Blue Zone. So we're going to pull this map up and you can see. So in Sardinia, the researchers who were working on this, they started mapping out, oh, here's a person who's over 100 years old and he's healthy. Let's check that box. Then we'll just put a little mark right where he lives. And they kept on marking this map up of where people live. And it turns out they did it with a blue marker. And really that's where the term Blue Zone came from, because they were marking up maps with blue marker. And what better way to relate this to the rest of us than here are the places where people live the longest, healthiest lives. So today, we're here in Sardinia, Italy, off the coast of Italy. But we're going to be traveling next to Okinawa, Japan, and then over to Nicoya, Costa Rica, and we're going to end this series with Ikaria, Greece. So please join us on all of our trips. So yeah, go ahead.
Go
Eric, are you
ahead.
there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, well, why travel now? Look, we know we're in a pandemic, and we know that we're in a crisis, and many of us are sheltering at home. And I don't know about you, Nairi, but I have a serious case of cabin fever. And so, being socially distant is inherently uncomfortable. I can tell you this as a psychologist. In fact, we punish people by isolating them. Hey, you're grounded, or take a timeout, or if you're in the prison system, you go into solitary confinement. So really, it's been really difficult, I feel, to be at home. And so part of why it's so fun to travel with friends and also virtually is to get out of cabin fever. Plus, Nairi, it's 2021, and what better way than to start the year by making more goals, reevaluating your life, thinking about what's important to you, and to have this psychological desire for a new start. You know, COVID can go either way for us. We're in the middle of fighting it through our lifestyle, biologically for a vaccine. And we know from research and psychological stress that if you don't attack it, you become a victim. And you kind of come out of this crisis and you feel, anxious, despair. But the flip side is you attack it and you make it a problem-solving situation, and thereby you can actually come out stronger and more cohesive as a group after COVID. So let's use this new year, Nairi, as a catalyst to clean out our closet of mental stress, and let's learn from the people who have been successful for hundreds of years of leading healthy, happy lives.
Yeah, so we're going to dig deep. We're going to take a look at this. We want to figure out what is the factor that really makes leading to a healthy, longer life. What do people eat? How do they live? What do they believe in? What music do they listen to? And all of this, what we want to do from that is we want to bring it home. We want to translate this information to us personally so we can work it into our days every day to confront this global pandemic.
So let's take a look at Sardinia. There it is. It's an island. It's the second largest island in the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is, of course, a beautiful sea. One of the beautiful things about Sardinia, it has over 100 beautiful beaches. In fact, I grew up in Europe, in Germany, and that's where people would go on vacation. So I knew about Sardinia from when I was very young, and partly why people want to go there. It's so beautiful. And so it's an interesting island. It has about a population of 1.6 million people. It has mountains that are as high as 6,000 feet. And so, one of the beautiful things about the Mediterranean is the blueness of the color. So people go for it as a vacation spot. But today we're thinking, well, we're not only going to visit Sardinia, but let's bring some souvenirs back, some lifestyle changes that are going to be fun and make us maybe healthier and boost our immune system. So, hey, Nairi, we just landed in Sardinia. What do you think? Isn't it beautiful?
Oh yeah, this is where we need to be. Does everyone feel it? We're gonna get out. It's gonna be 50 degrees. It's feeling good out there.
So hooray, we landed in Sardinia. Hey, look, if all of these 4 places that Nairi and I are going to take you to, they're all beautiful, okay? And so that's not a secret. And part of that is the temperature is in the winter it's 50, in the summer it's 80. It's very calm and nice to be at. But also they have beautiful beaches. And Nairi, I'm trying to match the Azzurra, the blue color of the Italian Mediterranean with my shirt. I don't know if I did okay. By the way, I love everything Italian. My shirt's from Rome, my scarf's from Milano, my watch is from Russia. Well, I can't do all of it, but I'm close. And so it's not only beautiful, but also there's some interesting facts about Sardinia. I mean, like Nairi said, people live, you're not going to say forever, but it feels like it. And this is also an island where men live the longest of any place in the world. Okay, so it's not only that women get old, but also men. So men pay special attention to what's going on in Sardinia. Maybe?
Yeah, well, it is beautiful. And anyone who's traveled to Italy knows that it's a special place. It's fantastic. The culture, the history, the people. And is what they call la dolce vita, the sweet life. What do you think about that? Is there a neurological basis for this?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we love surrounding ourselves with beautiful things. Why is that the case? You know, as a neuroscientist, if you look at how the brain works, Nairi, you know, obviously it's a complicated organ, but if you make it simpler and think of the brain as a large hotel, maybe with 200 rooms, our visual system is so intricate that that our visual information would be in each one of those 200 rooms. Okay, so our brain always experiences a totality of everything we see, and that's why I believe we like to surround ourselves with beautiful things. And I think anybody who's been to Italy knows that it's, you know, it's great food, it's great people, but it's always beautiful. And Nairi, how did you get my house on that slide? I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry about that. Was it supposed to be a
So,
secret?
so there's absolutely a neuroscience to La Dolce Vita.
So, but when you do think about Italy and when we talk about the blue zones, I think the first thing we think about really is the food. Because let's face it, you are what you eat. We've heard that for centuries, right? So, we are going to take a deeper dive into the food culture of Sardinia. And boy, look at this table. I mean, who doesn't want to be there right now? So, what does this table say to me? It says, come, sit, eat, and stay for hours, right? So, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is this blueprint? What is the nutrition blueprint of the blue zone? If we can advance, yeah, thank you. So, let's start with, you know, we hear the words farm to table and mindful eating. Sardinians were the inventors of this. Okay, they don't have to be told, let's do farm to table. They're naturally doing farm to table. They're bringing things in from their local environment. They're growing it. The meat that they're eating is from the island. There's not a lot that's imported there. And in mindfulness, mindful eating, they're doing this naturally as well. They're sitting down with people. They're thinking about food. They're putting effort into making the food. It's not grab and go. It takes time. So the classic Sardinian diet consists of whole grains, you know, simple beans, garden vegetables, fruits. So this is the basic of it. This is the bottom. And then they have a lot of cheese and yogurts as well, but they bring this from their pecorino cheese from their grass-fed sheep. In the United States, we buy grass-fed beef. We buy it for one reason, because it's higher in omega-3 fatty acids, which are natural anti-inflammatories. So here, naturally, they're feeding their sheep grass, and their milk is therefore, sheep's milk is high in omega-3 fatty acids. Meat. The meat in Sardinia is a condiment. It's not the center of the plate. It's not the biggest portion on the plate. In fact, sometimes it's reserved for Sundays or for special occasions because it's expensive and it's not necessary every single day. So the food that they're eating, you know, it's from around the town. It's inexpensive, it's resourceful, and it's sustainable because of this. And this is all done without planning this way, without having to think about doing this way. This is naturally done this way. And of course, you know, families included, families involved here. Eric, you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This focus on carbs, I mean, that's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's fair to say that Sardinia, and we don't want to give it away, but the rest of the other blue zones, they all eat carbs. And so there's these places in the world where people eat a lot of carbs and they live long. Is there any places in the world where they eat a lot of protein and they live long?
No, that's a great question. You cannot find anywhere that people eat a lot of protein and live long. Or I should say the majority of their diet comes from protein. In Sardinia, in these countries where carbohydrates are the center of the plate, they are the biggest portion on the plate. They're not large portions though. They are normal size, average portions. So it's not huge, but it still is the majority of the meal. It's the greatest percentage of everything that's being eaten at that time. So, you know what they're not? They're not afraid of carbs.
And this farm to table, I find it so interesting. I mean, I live in old cities. There's all these fancy restaurants around here, and they'll have that on your menu, and you'll pay extra. It's farm to table. It's locally sourced. But this is Sardinia. They haven't written the playbook. They have created this like over centuries in a normal way, right? I mean, this is how they live.
Yeah, like a lot of countries, especially islands where it's very expensive to bring food in or out. This is the way that they grow food, use the local farmer, eat the local foods that are able to be grown in that climate. That's where this kind of comes from.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Well, here you go.
Yeah, well, this is family. And meal preparation in this part of the world, it's a multi-generational event. It's all day long. It's like I said before, this is not grab and go. This is hours of love put into a piece of ravioli. No one is throwing out a piece of ravioli that grandma made in the kitchen all day, right? So this is not machine made, made with love. This is where that little phrase was born. So we talked about the minestrone soup. I hope some of you got a chance to watch this video, maybe make some of the soup. I'd love to hear that if anybody did attempt making this minestrone. It is wonderful. But I want you to look deep into this picture here. What they do is they embrace the carbohydrates. So this is full of beans, pasta, and potatoes, all three, all in there. And then throw in the vegetables. Okay, so the recipe that I gave you, it is an authentic recipe. But the truth is, what is most authentic about making a soup like this in Sardinia is there is no real recipe. Using the vegetables that you have in your refrigerator, whatever's about to go bad, that's what you put in there. So even if it says, I put zucchini, you don't have to put zucchini. If you have peppers left over, or you have, I don't know, you name it, you have it, you can cut it up and you put it in your soup. And this is a hearty meal, and it feels warm and it feels filling, and it has fluid in it as well. So what we call this in nutrition a low energy dense meal, which means it's low in calories for the portion size. And we also call this a nutrient dense meal, which means it's packed with nutrients. So it's low in energy density, high in nutrient density, and that's how they eat there naturally. That's our goal here. That's what we want to do. So that's why I say soup is the new salad, because you can go get a salad and you can eat this cold salad, with tons of salad dressing on it, and it doesn't feel warm. In fact, it feels like punishment to eat a salad. And then it's the same amount of calories at times as a Big Mac. You're not going to get that with a soup. So soup is the new salad. We're going to steer away from salads and head into soup zone.
Yeah, I love it. And I just want to say a couple of things and ask you a question as a psychologist. This idea about cooking soup, it has this amazing, I mean, what I'm visualizing, Nairi, is they're cooking the soup in the kitchen. People are standing around throwing things in, and the smell permeates over hours throughout the house, right? And so,
Oh yeah. Everybody in the house knows when something's cooking on the stove for hours, even if it's a sauce of some sort. You smell it and you know it. And that's the same thing with the soup. Yeah.
I feel I've been brainwashed about eating salads. I don't know if you're old enough to know when these salad bars were like really popular, and everybody at lunch at work would go to a salad bar, and I would go along and I would eat the leaves and the lettuce. And like you say, then you put nuts on it and mayonnaise and everything to make it halfway acceptable. And then I went back to Europe, and I remember that cows that eat grass, they regurgitate the salad 7 times before they can like process it. So actually it's hard to eat salad compared to a soup, right? That's cooked and organic and healthy, and it looks absolutely wonderful. Is that your minestrone? Is that your picture of your soup?
It is, yeah.
Wow.
It was good. I have some here right now. You want to see it? Take a look at this. I mean, I froze some and I've been eating it just because it's so good. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So moving forward here, some of the things that we just talked about is, in Sardinia, food's locally grown naturally. They don't go out of their way to make sure that it's locally grown. And families all around, generations live with each other. Family comes first. There's no greater love in some of these countries, Sardinia being one of them, in the Mediterranean being others, than cooking for your family. So food preparation and eating, it's communal. Everybody gets involved in it. It can be all day, but it's creative and it's engaging and it's conversational. So it's part of the culture to engage with multiple generations, from grandmother, great grandmother to great grandson, in the kitchen, talking, cooking, around the table all day long, making whatever it is. So here we'll just imagine ravioli, because that's labor intensive. It takes time. Each one is made with care, and you feel for it. It's like part of your life. It's like your baby you just made that little ravioli, and you want to cherish it. You don't want to just eat it as fast as you can and forget that you ate it. This is completely the opposite of eating in secrecy. Eating in secrecy meaning like eating in a parking lot at McDonald's, getting something. Now, not that McDonald's is bad either, because I do not believe that anything is bad, but eating in secrecy, doing it, as fast as you can, not really remembering that you sat down and you ate something, or because you're in front of your computer doing work, or you're in front of the television, that mindlessness. That's what we want to get back to. And that's why in Italy, eating is part of the lifestyle. It's healthy. Everyone's included. And one thing I just want to really add here, which I feel is important to bring up, is there's no tablescape. And we make a big deal about what is the Thanksgiving tablescape going to look like. Maybe we'll buy a bunch of mini turkeys and they'll be live jumping around the table, and everybody will be so excited by this grand show on the table. But the tablescape in Sardinia is the food. The food is the tablescape, and the people around it, those are part of this artwork. It's actually artwork. It's like jumping into a Michelangelo painting where you are just seeing wonderful food with wonderful people and great conversation. And that itself is the art. So I know I got a little psychological there, and I did jump into a painting, which normally is your arena. So what do you have to say, Eric, about this?
Well, hey, let's face it, Nairi, everybody is a psychologist, right? I mean, it's true. You always try to figure out people, and everybody's a nutritionist, right? Everybody thinks they know a lot about food because we eat all the time. But really, when you unpack what's going on in Sardinia, it definitely is, much of it is the food. People are what they eat, right? But the other part, which is sort of interesting, is their lifestyle changes and their lifestyle habits that they have. And as number one is what I call socialization. That is, Sardinians are always looking to do things together. They cook together, they eat together, they walk together, they drink together. Sardinians are experts, they're really architects about making community. This is really an important part, really, of life. Whereas in America, people move around. We don't live in an island. You can say that the American family has become fragmented. But just let's kind of unpack it a little bit. Right now, what we're doing, most of you are Dragons, and I appreciate the Drexel University alumni office putting this together, Fanny and Devin. We're creating community right now, right? We want to believe in something, and so that's really, really important. So everything that you're seing, Nairi talked about, is this idea of socialization and creating social networks. And so why is that so important in life? Why do people want the Eagles to win? Why do people want to believe in something? Hey, Nairi, do you know what the #1 tattoo is in the world?
Oh, a smiley face.
No, it's an anchor, an anchor. So the psychology of tattoos, why would people, the most frequent tattoo ever put on a body across the world is an anchor. Why? Because people they want to hitch their anchor somewhere, you see? They want to feel grounded. And that's what Sardinians do. They do it naturally. And so by creating community, you feel like you're part of something bigger, okay? Like you're not a student, you're a Drexel alum. You know, you're not a citizen of Philadelphia, you're an American, you're a citizen of this planet. So people want to be part of that. And so when you feel that you have this foundation of something bigger, Nairi, you have a healthy, you feel like you have a healthy a lifestyle. So Blue Zones really teach us about how important community is, family, social interactions, and sticking together. And especially during a pandemic, I guarantee you right now, have you reached out to your high school friends? Have you tried looked at your community surrounding you and try to help them and integrate yourself? Have you reached out to people that you haven't reached out to for a long time? Have you re-explored and reevaluated how powerful your relationship is with your own family? So they've been doing this for a long time, Nairi, and because of that, they've created this amazing community. What's missing is like these big cities, no question, when you have an island, their culture is harder to change, right? Manhattan, by the way, is on an island, but that didn't make the blue zone list. So you have people living in the household of 2-3 generations, and they just, they do it naturally, Nairi. So it's really, I'll put some slides up again. It's really fascinating. So this picture I just find fantastic. You're looking at the food. I'm looking at how the people of different ages and different genders are together. I mean, look at this. I mean, you talked about it, the food and also the lifestyle. And just look at this picture. They're also eating outside, okay? And we're sheltering right now at home, and we know from from working in sleep labs and trying to find out how people live, that you have to be outside. You get a lot of information, your body does, from the circadian rhythm, from the sun. And so we get all screwed up. I've been traveling so much in my last few years, and I've been home for 8 months. So it's really important. And Sardinians do this naturally. They not only hike and do physical exercise, they eat outside. And so I find that, fascinating. Many of you know this. Nairi is a nutrition star. She's on television all the time. Here she is on Fox 29. What did you talk about? Is that the same kitchen you're in right now?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, sadly, every time I go on, they don't let me redo my kitchen, which I'm really disappointed about. I think that should be one of the pros that come along with doing television in the morning. Kitchen redo. I would love an updated cabinet. So I'm going to throw that in next time to see if because they must be getting bored of my kitchen as well, don't you think?
No,
well,
I think
okay.
that's great. I just don't know if that's the real you or you are the real you.
Yeah, well, I'm the real me right now. So focus here. I was on Fox 29 just last week, and they said, we're going to talk about the Mediterranean diet. And it has won 4 years in a row, #1 diet. And I thought, really? Because what I said on TV is the reason why it keeps winning is because it's not a diet. It's against a diet. In fact, it's a lifestyle. There are so many pieces of it, and it's not, you're not measuring food on this, and you're not eliminating food groups from this. This is a very healthy, good way to relate with food. And that's why it keeps winning, because it's doable. It's not something that you do for 30 days and say, oh, I lost 20 pounds in 30 days, but guess what? It's all back. This is not what this diet is about. It's about living long, healthy, and making this fit into your life. That's really what this is all about.
You know, getting back to the socialization, not only of eating, but also living. I mean, look at these Sardinians. This is a polyphon. They've invented, like before they had the Bee Gees and the Beatles, they had these tenors who sing in different octaves, like a cappella, polyphonic, sometimes using their throat. They do it together. So not only the Sardinians are so remarkable. They hang out together. Look at this. This is my dream, Nari, just to sit there and
You can do that right now.
they can't be alone.
This is probably the only time in your life that you could do that. You should think about it. Just go pop a chair outside.
I'm going to work on it. But you know, the point is, we know from psychological research that, you know, loneliness is a symptom of anxiety and depression. It's just nothing good about loneliness. And so the idea of having it naturally occur, like it does in Sardinia, makes people feel happy and healthy. And we know it reduces not only mental stress, but it reduces mental illness. And so, yes, it's going to be a little more difficult in the United States. We might have to use Zoom. We may have to reach out through different electronic platforms or phones to be in touch with each other to create this kind of community. But it is very refreshing to see how they naturally do this. Another thing that Sardinians do besides eat well, they're unbelievably active. Now, you know, you may know that we have a gym at Drexel that I oversee, which was ranked #1 in the city and top 10 in the country. But Sardinians, they don't have gyms like that. They don't have treadmills. They don't know what a Peloton is. The island is hilly and they walk everywhere. Everything is close to each other. They walk to work, they walk to the bar, they walk to their friends, and they do it in groups. And it's not like, you know, they don't have Fitbits. They just do strenuous walking every day. And that's one thing, Nairi, that I have rediscovered how fun walking is during the pandemic, you know, because I don't have access to all of these things I usually do, and, you know, physically. I've been starting to walk a lot, and it just seems so natural. Is it kind of walking with a purpose, mindfully, cognitively? I will say, you know, golf has a bad rep. I would put golf in that category too. If you walk, you know, you're chasing a ball. But here you see how beautiful again these Sardinians are in terms of you know, creating extra opportunities for exercise. So they prioritize their physical health. They get a lot of exercise. They walk with a purpose, but they also do what's a really new thinking in America, which is recovery. You know, so I work in athletics, and the idea of after you engage in something strenuous, that you now take your time and recover is super important. If you're a Sixers fan, you know, we have a star player, he's 7'2", Embiid, and, you know, he sometimes doesn't play, not because he's not good enough, he's the star of the team, but they are giving him a chance to recover. You know, 10 years ago, they would not have done that. They would just said like, go, you know, we're paying you a lot. So Sardinians have been recovering or are focusing on recovery for centuries. How do they do it? Mary, they take a break during the day. Okay, so just like everybody turns the telephone off once in a while, or you just give your, you know, your eyes a rest, they do it automatically. It's not a siesta. You know, people in the Western world, they think, you know, you're sleeping during the day, it's a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing. But you don't have to sleep. It could just be laying down or taking a rest or just going into a social isolation room. So they're always with people, but during this recovery period, they take a break. And so I think there's something to be learned from that. And, you know, we drank initially.
Yeah, let's jump into this right now. Let's talk about a little bit about wine. So you hear red wine, have a glass a day, it's healthy for you. Well, we don't really have enough research to say that having a glass of wine a day is healthy for you, because most people who are drinking only 1 or 2 glasses a day most likely are living a lot of their lives in moderation, which is exactly how we want to live our lives. So, but we know from the Sardinians that incorporating a little bit of wine, 1 to 2 glasses per day, has helped them get to this longer state of life. Okay, so A bottle of wine, it comes in 750 milliliters. It is not meant for one person. It's meant to be shared. It's meant to be shared with more than one person. So this is how they do it. Share a bottle of wine, have a drink in moderation. And when you are practicing moderation in one part of your life, it often translates into other parts of your life. And you probably know this from other things too. I'm going to bring it down to something very simple, only because this is something that, I argue with my kids about all the time, which is make your bed in the morning. But if you start your day off with some sort of discipline that you make your bed in the morning, then, other things fall into place. So with the wine culture in Sardinia, they're not having wine at their house. They're walking down. They're walking towards a cucina, and they're sitting there and they're having a glass with somebody and talking. It's an event. It's an experience. It's getting out of the house for an hour or two, and then they go back home, or sharing it with a large group of people, like around the table that we saw. So this is how moderation fits in to the wine drinking, and why we see that when consumed in moderation, it is part of that overall big healthy lifestyle.
It's so interesting. What do you think of the research that came out, decades ago, that's saying that actually drinking wine is good for you? That's just not true. It's a toxic, right?
Well, wine is a poison. I mean, or alcohol is labeled as a poison. So we don't eat any other poisons and think that it's okay, right? Poisons, toxins, we try to stay away from. But so wine might not be good for you, but wine in moderation, because of all the other variables that are part of this lifestyle, that's when it fits into a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, that is so interesting. I always wonder about that. People are so afraid of, I'm going to just popsicles because they have food dye in it, but that's not labeled a poison. Alcohol is labeled poisonous. Yes. So just putting that out there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And the fact that if you drink it in moderation, it's manageable. And then what you're saying is, it seems like Sardinians are doing everything in moderation. They're, without really paying attention to it, they're very disciplined about their exercise, their sleep, their recovery, their family values, and their drinking. So it's interesting how you phrase that. Thank you. So
it's a full package. Yeah, it's a full package. So everything comes together in this lifestyle, and that's really what I want to focus on here. So yeah, food is a part of it, but it's not the only part of it.
So look, we're getting to the end of our presentation. We got a couple more slides. If people want to, put some questions into the chat, we'll try to answer them. We're looking forward to engaging with you, just like people are doing in Sardinia. So now are you ready for our slides? Souvenirs from Sardinia. And
yes.
It's not any closing or vases. It's lifestyle-ish, lifestyles. You ready?
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna go souvenir shopping right now, and
Yeah,
what we're gonna bring back with us from Sardinia is some of the little things that they do every day that we are going to try to incorporate into our lives. So one is walk every day. And I've been working really hard at doing this, and I try to track this on my phone just to see, because there are some days when I'm working from my house all day and I have walked 100 feet. It's embarrassing. Maybe I don't carry my phone everywhere with me, but 100 feet. So I need to really put some effort into this, and I try to get to 8,000 steps a day. 10,000 is a little bit high for me, but 8,000 with the dog, that's my goal. So walking every day.
Yeah, and I already mentioned, being outside as much as is possible. I mean, it's interesting that most of the pictures we looked at, they drink outside, they eat outside, they gather outside. And so it's so important.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it just popped in my head that, what is so hot and outside right now? Well, actually it's cold, but it's popular. Skiing. Everyone is skiing. You can't rent a pair of ski boots and ski goggles right now, or skis, because everybody is onto it. They know that being outside That's one place that we can do it safely right now. So I drank the juice. I got some skis for the season, and boy, it feels good to be going down a hill and just feeling the wind against your face and being out of my office.
Yeah, and the whole food industry. I mean, it's interesting as a silver lining of the pandemic that because the restaurants are closed for indoor service, if you walk through the city of Philadelphia, they're like amazing outdoor establishments. I mean, the most creative structures you can imagine. And people sit there. It's colder. It might be 50s or 40s, but people are enjoying themselves. And so we're all
Yeah,
forced
they
to.
totally are. Remember when you would ask to move your table because there was a draft? And now we are so happy to be sitting outside, freezing and eating at a restaurant. Things shift. This is a shift, a life shift.
Well, it's sometimes during a crisis that we find what really matters, and sometimes it's just very little things. And then, of course, I'll let you talk about the veggies, but yeah, I mean that's
Well,
what.
another good souvenir to take away from Sardinia is fill your plate with vegetables. The you know Half of your plate should be vegetables. That's important. That's where all your nutrients are coming from. The majority of them. Eat a variety of vegetables, and don't focus on the meat. Meat's a condiment. It's a side. It's a side. Yeah.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I started gardening, and I didn't adopt a pet. Did you adopt a pet during the pandemic, Nairi?
No, but I got one right before the pandemic. So she was new.
There's nothing
She
wrong
was
with that.
she was
But
only a few months
yeah, I
pre-pandemic.
mean, pets are a part of the community. But the idea, and I started cooking. I mean, seriously, and it's so fun to cook. We're not in Sardinia. I get it, but we can cook with friends. It's easy to do over or FaceTime or Zoom, and it's been really a lot of fun. So the whole psychology, socialization part of the food's so important too.
Yeah. Cook with friends. And here's a good one. Don't be afraid of pasta. Be afraid of a lot of pasta, but don't be afraid of pasta.
Yeah,
I
I
am
mean,
not afraid of pasta.
there's this picture out that says Sophia Loren, she looks a beautiful Italian film star, and she claims that she ate pasta every day, so don't be afraid of pasta. Drink with friends, really do anything with friends, I mean, this is the not so secret sauce. What keeps Sardinians together, what keeps community together. If you look at any successful university or corporation, it's about the connections that they create among people, as well as their product. So this is something that we already know, but it's good to know that it's that important. It is that important. And then they don't have any stress. There's no time for stress, which is tough for us. I mean, we are interested in careers where we have pressures. We love that kind of lifestyle sometimes in America, but there are things that you can reduce stress with, and anxiety and stress is incompatible with being relaxed and having a good time. Okay, so if you're relaxed, there's no way you can be stressed out. So focus on what makes you relaxed: mindfulness, yoga, exercise, and laughter is a great antidote to stress. And then again, stress. Yep.
Yeah, so that's definitely part of the social network, laughter. So let's take all of this, and we have some homework for you. Okay, so here's the homework. The homework for you is start small, make a lifestyle change, and commit to it. Maybe you want to think about, have I taken care of myself this year? What's one thing I can do to add to my life routinely that involves self-care or physical activity? Maybe it's as simple as taking a walk every day, or maybe it's as simple as walking around the house a few extra times. My grandmother, before there was a Fitbit, used to walk around her house, up and down the stairs to the basement every day. I didn't know what she was doing, but that was part of her routine, and that was how she was getting her exercise in. This is before there were step counting. She just knew that was what you should do. Think about your community. Have you connected with people? Do you have a friend that you want to reach out to? So I'm kind of saying is look at all these different areas. Look at yourself, self-care. Look at yourself. Is there anything physical activity you can do? How can you connect with your community? Maybe a friend you haven't talked to in a while, and then a nutrition habit. What do you want to change there? I'm not saying be perfect. We're taking it this one step at a time, and this one step might be, just eating more fruits and vegetables. I don't know, Eric, what would you do? What would you do nutritionally?
Oh, what I've done, and during this pandemic, I've lost 15 pounds. So please, in the chat box,
Wow.
tell me that I look great because I've worked on it. I've eaten smaller portions. I've followed your advice. I'll eat anything, but I just eat less. And then I exercise. I have this bike in my place and I hate it. But here's my point: as a neuroscientist, I know that you have a choice. You have a choice that you can make those lifestyle changes. You don't have to be perfect, like Nairi says, but you can start small in small goals. Small goals lead to big goals. You know how people make these big goals on New Year's Day and then only to fail at them. It's easier to make small goals and start little. It's okay, but you have a choice. We have this frontal lobe up here in your brain. It's the conductor of our brain. We have a choice that we can go on the stationary bike or we cannot. Okay, you may not think you have a choice, but you actually do. And I think once you find this idea of this, you're doing cognitive behavioral therapy with yourself, it's a really wonderful thing. And you start living a healthier, happier life, even during a pandemic. And it looks more like what Sardinians do. So look, we're almost at the end. A couple more things, Nairi. Do you have any shout outs you want to say to some people?
I do. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank the alumni office, Fanny, Devin. You guys were amazing. You helped us out so much. And this is so much fun to work with you. We always love working with you. It's really a partnership, and it's more than that, it's a friendship. So thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to acknowledge a few people that are on right now, too, that are here. Shout out to John and Ginny Chapel. They were so generous to build a fueling station, and the Ginny and John Chapel fueling station and Dragon Lounge. So this is a place where our student athletes can get food and also be a part of a community. They can just lounge around there, which is fabulous. I'm going to keep going.
It's like a mini Sardinia, right?
Huh?
It's a mini Sardinia.
It is. It really is. And the students all feel that way. I would like to thank, Kelsey and Andrea. They are my co-directors. They're on here. And so are Kelsey's parents. So thank you so much. Rachel Muse, always a big part of my life. She is a private performance chef from the United Kingdom. She works with the highest level athletes in the UK. You can only imagine who they could possibly be. Just imagine. So thank you, Rachel, for being here too. And one of our trustees, well, so is John Chapel, but George Kral. Hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to just give one shout out to my friend Joe Pacifico, who's the son of Carl Pacifico, a Drexel grad, 1944, an engineer, a chemical engineer. And one thing that's so great about Drexel is how people give back. And Carl, one of the most curious and intelligent people I've met, he wrote a book called Think Better, Feel Better, which really, he was way before his time, because that's what we're doing today, right? Think better, feel better. And he established a professorship that I hold, the Pacifico Professor of Neuropsychology. So
that's amazing.
I appreciate all of this support that Drexel and the alumni and Dragons have created. So one more slide. Nairi, are you ready? Where are we going in 2 weeks?
Can't wait. We're headed off to long trip, Okinawa, Japan. Join us January 28th at 7 p.m. and you can watch our video on YouTube. It is Okinawan soba noodle soup. We will send it out to you as well, but if you don't get it in the meantime and you are really anxious, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Nairi Dardarian. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter at Nairi Dardarian. And I don't know, what is your Twitter handle, Eric?
Oh, go Dragons AD. I also have a fake Twitter account, but that's not, I'm going to share that one. Yeah, go Dragons AD. And January 28th, 7 p.m., we're going to go to another island, Okinawa. Nairi, a shout out to you. You're amazing. I appreciate all the things you're doing for Drexel in the area of nutrition science and making nutrition like easy to understand. So that concludes our presentation. So we're ready to do some serious Q&A.
Great. I've been monitoring the chat, and the first two that popped up had to do with the role of herbs and olive oil in the diet. Nairi, do you want to take that one?
Well, herbs are important because, oh, I have something to show you actually regarding that. So I do have a little pot. I made this for the kids tonight with some herbs in it that I was going to add some olive oil, but they came and they ate. I don't know if you saw that. They just grabbed the pot and left of pasta that I made for them tonight. But in here, I had a lot of herbs left over. I have some parsley in here, some dill, some rosemary. And the thing is that they're so simple and they're like boosters, antioxidant boosters. So they're just so much more concentrated in there. Just chop them up. I put them in a bowl and then I put olive oil. Olive oil is important because it's a monounsaturated fat, which really means it's not saturated. So it replaces the use of butter. It replaces the use of lard. And so when your foods are now cooked in a monounsaturated fat, there's also a benefit to it. So it doesn't add to the saturated fat in your diet, number one, which can raise your HDL levels, which is your, I'll just call it good cholesterol. So it does have a role in, still, listen, at the end of the day, too much fat is too much fat. I'm not saying drink olive oil. I am saying replace olive oil, replace butter and lard with olive oil for a healthier lifestyle.
Awesome. We also had a question about fish being part of the local Sardinian diet because they're on an island. Is that a big part of their diet?
It is. It is a big part of the diet. Yep, you guessed it. It's local. It's available. You've heard of sardines. Where they come from? Sardinia, right? Sardines are like super special in the world of fish because they're also an incredible source of calcium. And you know why? Because we eat their bones. So we're eating the calcium, the bones of a fish and consuming that, giving us another source of calcium that is not from what you would consider a typical source of calcium.
Awesome. Would you recommend starting your own vegetable garden to grow your own vegetables? And are there health benefits to doing so?
Yeah, I'll take that question. I'm joking. I'll give it back to Nairi in a second. But
Nairi, you're muted, by the way.
But let me say this about creating. Nairi, you're muted. But before she gets unmuted, or maybe she's talking to her kids, just to create anything, Devin, is amazing psychologically. Okay, and that's part of what we're asking people to do during the pandemic. Do something that is mindful and that creates something. And so it's not only growing veggies, which Nairi can talk about, but also the idea that you're doing it yourself. And anybody who knows what that feels like to do anything yourself, it's an amazing psychological experience. Nairi, are you back?
I'm back. Okay, so what I'm going to add here is, you are not going to be able to harvest vegetables enough to, satisfy maybe all of your needs if you're growing them. But there's another benefit that I was going to pass over to Eric, which is there's something about putting your hands in soil. We know this. We know that putting in your hands in soil it helps you feel grounded. In fact, I work in sports nutrition, and when we travel to different time zones, some of the sports teams that I work with, the Flyers, for example, when we get to a city that's across the country, the first thing that we tell the athletes to do is stand outside barefoot, because there is something about connecting with the soil that has you feel more grounded and are able to transition into that time zone, but transition into your own home, your backyard.
It's also important to take care of things, Devin, like, take care of your community, but you're taking care of a garden. And so once you take care of other people or plants or pets, you feel grateful for it. And this idea of gratefulness is also something Sardinians have perfected. So I think it's a very healthy thing. Can I do another couple shout outs? I see Rosa Agliata, who is actually Italian. So I hope we're doing your country proud. Rosa is an Italian personal style curator. So I hope you give high marks, Nari and me, for presenting. But I know that there she is. Rosa does a lot of work on Amalfi.
Hi, everybody.
And did we do okay? Did we?
Very, very well. And, shout out also to Nari, because the extra virgin oil, as you know, not only like the Romans used to call the great healer. In Italy, we use also for the facial, the hair, the skin, just to moisturize, in particular during summertime.
So does J-Lo. Just putting it out there.
Well, we did before. Yes, this is a great presentation. And yes, thank you for also offering a piece of my country. It's we all need to travel and in these beautiful places. And Eric, you're so right about creating and cooking. And that's what we need to do, not only during COVID, but always. My daughter, he's 11, and when I cook branzino or kale, she said, yes. So if you start before, you are going to have healthy people later.
Thank you, Rosa.
So I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And feel free to put your website into the chat box.
Oh, thank you so much. I will.
Yeah, people can really, actually, have a professional relationship trying to, you can learn these things, Another one is Pretty Dear. I think Pretty is.
And you look very sharp, Eric. Dressed very Italian.
I think Pretty was a student of mine from, 1998. So that's great to see her, if that's who she is.
Hi, Dr. Zilmer. I can't believe you remember me.
I can't believe it. What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 1998 and my maiden name was Panchow. So you have an amazing memory.
And it's the first time I'm talking to you in 22 years?
Well, we talked probably a couple of years ago. I think I came to visit your office when one of my former bosses was working on your team.
Yeah, good. Well, it's great to have, we're proud of you being a dragon, of course, and it's great to see you. And it's great to hear your voice again. So yeah,
I'll reach out to you via email. I'd love to catch up with you. And by the way, I love the presentation. Thank you to everyone. You all did a fabulous job.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have, Nairi and Eric, do you have time for a couple more questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we had one that was going back to your comment about soup being the new salad mantra. The question is, how do we ensure that those who don't have much background or education in nutrition don't take that mantra and run with it without accounting for the contents? So how do we convey this to a broad, diversified audience in a way that's simple enough to understand, but not oversimplified to the point of overlooking actual nutrient contents?
I have no idea. There must be people out there who do this. Okay.
That was Stella.
There must be people who specialize in this, but it's not me.
All right, I'll throw an easier one for you. Let's see. I think there was one about, can you tell us about the beaches and the differences between the northern and southern portions of Sardinia?
Yeah, it has a coastline. It's really fragmented. And here's a picture of me riding a motorcycle on the island. I was 22 years old, and I thought I could do anything. It was a great feeling. And it's just, the fun thing about an island like Sardinia is you can either rent a car or bring your car with a ferry, and you can explore it. You can explore the entire island, which is a lot of fun. So when you're in the north side, on the northeast side is where all the most beautiful beaches are, the capitals in the south. But really, you can't go wrong. I mean, when you saw some of the beaches, they're hidden, and you can hike to them, and there's all this serendipity. And so one of the best things I think about traveling is to explore, to not completely have a compass where you're going. And I actually think it's true for cooking. I mean, that's what Nairi did. She threw stuff into this vegetable soup, and you're creating stuff. So
That's why I'm a cook. I'm not a baker. Please do not ask me to stick to any. I'm a cook. I can make anything out of whatever's left over in my refrigerator, but I cannot bake a cake. That's not from a box.
So to answer your question, the beaches are phenomenal. So just put into their web browser 10 best beaches in Sardinia, and it will flatten you. And you can go off the airport, go into a taxi and say, take me to the next beautiful beach, and they will do so. Everybody knows them. It's one of the, you know, it's one of the things that they sell, Sardinia does, as part of being, you know, part of their tourism package.
And we have one last question for tonight. Do you have any information on the work culture in Sardinia? What are the popular professions and what does the work-life balance look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, they
I'm
don't-
sorry, there is no such thing as a work-life balance.
that's here's, and I'll let Nairi weigh into this too. You know, when I came to this country at the age of 22, I was struck by how people tried to force me into like thinking about working or not working. And so I like working. And as an athletic director, I work. I mean, people ask how many hours you work as an athletic director. I have no idea. Probably too many. But this dualism between family and work, I think, is a purely Western idea. And Sardinia has a little bit different concept about it, which is they kind of feel naturally. They don't have to. They don't really have a lot of unemployment. They have jobs that people have. They're not a wealthy country, but they're not poor either. And so they have kind of integrated work and family into one thing. It's much more natural than we do, for whatever reason, whatever work ethic that we've been brainwashed, that we, you know, this idea about the pandemic is now we're working at home, right? And so this work-life balance is now truly being examined, because in your own home, you have to sleep, watch TV, cook, and you work. And so if you think of it as one thing, as a psychologist, I would say, if you think of yourself as one person, Eric Zomer, and I'm doing all of those things, I think it's much healthier. And I think that's what Sardinians do. They don't, if you ask them that question, they would look at you like, the next question, like, what are you talking about? You know, like you would ask, like, how often do you take a step with your right foot than with your left foot? It's that kind of a thing. Nairi, if you want to weigh in, you always have the last word.
Okay, I have to only weigh in because this has become a topic with my students, and I hear my students often, most recently, saying, you should not be measured by how hard you're working, meaning proving to somebody that you stayed up all night long to work, or proving to somebody that you don't take a break. That's not healthy, and they want to change that mentality. They want to change that's an expectation. And I think that's not an expectation in Sardinia. And maybe we need to shift things, and maybe we need to listen to our students who might be onto something, you know, because right now I feel like we're graded by that, how hard you're working, how many hours you're putting in, how you're up until 2 a.m. doing something. And I think that in order for that to be accepted, we have to shift as a culture.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's a culture thing. Yeah. In Italy, you leave and then you work. It's not you work. It's different. If you work too much, there's something wrong with you, because it's really exciting. Because also imagine the performance, right? If you relax, you get your break, and you pause, and you get your break in the weekend, you don't work. You're very full recharged on Monday. Do you know? It's different. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for saying.
You're hearing it
that.
straight from the source. That's a great place to end. So thank you so much, Nairi. Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Rosa. Thank you, everybody else who commented and made some great comments. I did put in the chat box the website for where to register for the next 3 events. We will be sending an email out to everyone who registered for the first event with the links for all of those. So if you have any questions, feel free to forward them to me. You should be getting also another email, just quick survey to give us some more feedback. It's a very simple I think it's 5 questions, not even survey, on how the program went tonight. But thank you very much for attending, and we will send a recording out as well.
That was really lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Thank you so much. Cheers to you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Ciao.
Cheers.
Ciao.
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 Salute.
Thank you.
Ciao, Eric.
Bye-bye.